From broken brawls to game-changing mechanics, today we're going to be ranking all the Brawl Talks from worst to best. And we're going to be starting with Brawl Stars Brawl Talk update. This one was so irrelevant, it was less than 2 minutes long and it just completely flopped, to be honest. But moving on to the next one, we have Brawl Talk, new brawler, new skins and more. This one wasn't necessarily bad, it was just at the start of the game there was basically no content in the updates and Rosa came out very broken, so that kind of ruined it a lot. The next one on my list is the Carl update, which was also one of the very early ones, which means it did not have a lot of content. It had like 2 skins, Carl being the new brawler, and then Siege, which is a very forgettable mode. Next up I had the global update, which introduced Leon, and it basically had nothing else. It had 3D environments and then it remodeled a bunch of like old brawlers, but like if they added that for a new update and called it a day, that would not pass through a modern day audience. Surprisingly, the tiniest Brawl Stars update made it up to 38th, which is very surprising since it was only 1 minute and 9 seconds long. It introduced like 4 new skins, but the stuff it actually did add was pretty good. For this update they added 8-bit and star points, and 8-bit was free as a trophy road brawl, which was nice, but then they also kind of marketed the whole update and the whole thing about him being slow. Like, why would anyone want to unlock this new brawl if he's like meant to be really slow and unfun? What's the point of that? This might be the most surprising one on the entire list. I put the mutations quite low, and this is mainly because, frankly, they just made the game really unfun. The brawler, which was Lily, just wasn't that interesting, and a lot of the stuff that just went on has not been up to par with anything in the newest update, so it just made it fall flat. Another update that fell flat to me was the Underwater Brawl season. To be honest, this was probably the most forgettable season while Chromatic Brawls was still around, with Otis just kind of being Otis, I'm sorry Pulsar, and the whole theming just being very boring. Water, is that the best theme we could come up with, really, Supercell? While I'm here, I just kind of want to go over the metrics that I used in order to make this tier list. It was based off a few things. It was based off how much I liked the theme, the content of the Brawl Talk, the content of the update, and how the Brawl Talk kind of flowed. So it was a mix of the stuff we actually got, plus what they all like said. And obviously a bit of my personal opinion is biased towards me because it's my opinion. Don't kill me in the comments and don't dislike this video, guys, come on. Back on the ground with the R34 placement, we've got Mr. P and his Brawl Talk, which was actually the season I came back to Brawl Stars after leaving it for like 1.5 years, which was quite interesting looking back on it. And while this one wasn't like particularly interesting, the whole like things they did add were pretty good. So it was pretty just like mid as a Brawl Talk, if I do say so. Next up I added the Club League update, which was a pretty good update and had some pretty stacked rewards, but there was a whole use of tickets and honestly the Brawl Talk wasn't that interesting. We had Brawl Talks now, which I thought were really good, but just obviously some were better than others. And this one introduced Cordelius and Doug and a lot of skins, but personally this just entire theming just didn't hit as much as some of the others. The Pirates and Enchanted theme were interesting, but like we've had them both kind of before and they weren't done like perfectly. And then the Brawl Talk wasn't like that interesting either. Also, they brought back Star Drops. I just want to like say, the whole thing removing mega boxes just to add Star Drops was kind of weird from them, and I don't know like why they decided to add Star Drops basically immediately after getting rid of mega boxes, but like, alright, Supercell. The Mega Pick update goes next, mainly because I just hate Charlie as a brawler. She fundamentally doesn't work in this game, and I don't really see why they'd add a brawler like her. Just breaking into the top 30, we have Sandy's update, which honestly was just pretty good all around. They added Learn Star and they added some basic like quality of life changes, so for an early update this one was definitely one to be appreciated. Compulsory mention of Meg's update here. Fundamentally, Tick's update was very important for the game, adding star powers and second ones to the game, which were just very well needed, and even though this update didn't necessarily hold well compared to the updates we have now, it was a good starting point for the game. Lou's season was pretty uneventful, really, only having him and changes to the map maker update, which was last season, but honestly the update was pretty good. The Lyle and Friends collab was probably the best one they've ever done, and Lou and the theming was just pretty good. This was probably in my top 3 favourite Brawl Talks in terms of actual Brawl Talk, because the theming was just on point and everything that they did with the costumes and the different type of acting was really good. I'm a big fan of acting. I do acting at school, but the only thing holding this one back is it was literally just Lola and skins. They didn't add any actual content, so I don't know why, but I think they were focusing on competitive at the moment because it was near the World Finals, but that doesn't excuse it, it's still getting a low placement. This was probably the weirdest one to rank, as frankly it's probably the most mixed Brawl Talk of them all, and just update in general. Obviously it added power 10 and 11, which was controversial and very unpopular at the time, and the mechanics are kind of still broken. The Brawl Talk, don't get me wrong, it was good, and it was good that they were trying to add a lot of content at once. It was probably the longest Brawl Talk I've ever had, but was it good changes? I'm not quite sure, so here it is in the middle. The Once Upon a Brawl season was very good theme-wise, but honestly didn't bring in a lot of content like the Bollywood one. But to be fair, it was probably better than that one in the fact that the theming was solid, the skins were good, and it set up the future updates like the Club League. The last few this season kind of was limited by the amount of content. This one had Eve and an amazing environment being the Biodome, but apart from that it just had Payload, which was kind of just mid. I'm going to leave this one to be short. This season was just pretty good all around, and the Gears rework helped. They shouldn't have needed a rework to begin with, but that's besides the point. This update probably wouldn't have been so good if they didn't have done the roadmap, which basically summed up what they were going to do for the next few months of the game. And I just think it was a really good way to go about how they wanted to present their new ideas, and it went well with the community. In fact, I actually made a Brawl Talk parody video called Brawl Talks in a Nutshell 2 years ago when this update released. Obviously the Star Force one, and this one's just very nostalgic to me, and it was a good theme. For being such an early update, the pilot update was so underrated. It released 2 brawlers being Max and B, which were both really cool and unique on release, and the whole ship environment was interactive in the way it would move from side to side, as well as that Present Plunder also released this season, which was a pretty unique concept of a game mode. I just realised I put 3 OG Brawl Talks in a row, which may be a coincidence, but I'm not sure. But look how good this one is. Look at the animation. It goes, I am Frank, and this is Brawl Talk. And then he blooming DJ Frank. Look at this amazing editing. Look at him in the 3D render. Look at that. More gameplay, more skins flashing up and down the screen. Look at the mortuary, all flashy, lightning. That is so sick. Of wholesome for a moment and just say I kind of got fully into the game after this update released. This one with BB, I don't know what it was about her, but when she released, maybe it was my stupid 10-year-old brain or however old I was, just seeing her and going hubba hubba, she's my wife now. But she as a brawler and a concept just stuck out to me so much. And I don't know, after this I started watching all the box openings, I started absolutely loving the game. BB became my first power 11, my first rank 25, and not my main anymore, but they were my main for a long time. So I don't know, I can't put this update too high, because it's not all based on personal opinion, and this one wasn't that good, let's be real. It was only 2 skins and BB, but it was, I don't know, I love it. Realistically, this update should probably be in the top 3 of all the Brawl Talks in this ranking. But I don't know, they got rid of boxes, they added 3 brawlers, they added one of the best themes, they added some of the best brawlers to be fair. They added a bunch of stuff. They added the Star Road, but they got rid of my gambling. How could they do that to me? My addiction has never been the same since. Just like the BB update, I think this was one personally that really stuck with me. Just seeing Stu as a 10,000 trophy free brawler was sick, and everything they added, the theme, the environment, as I said, the whole skins. Power League was also in this update. It was all this update was the big one for me. Edgar, thumbs down, Edgar, clown pin, Edgar. But seriously, this update was actually really good, giving Edgar for free, a bunch of free stuff. Great update. I just looked at my tier list in post editing and was why is this 13th? This should be much higher. And then I kind of just looked at the other 12 that are ahead of it, and I was okay, maybe it is 13th. It's really surprising, but there's some great update. When the Vanked update first released, I personally thought it was pretty just mid, but looking back on it, I had a lot of great moments. This was when they started to kind of show the like 3 months in a row of updates, which was like obviously really good for clarity, but also like some of the updates they had for this season were really good. Obviously they had the Baby Shark collab, which was very bizarre and funny in a way. And Vanked, even though I didn't really like it at the time, it was a really good change, and it was probably the best route they could have gone down with, making it somewhat more casual, because in the end, like, most of the players are casual, and if you want to be competitive, just compete in tournaments, you know. It is so nostalgic to me, being basically at the start of lockdown, but like, what I want to talk about in this segment is how this kind of showed it was like the Fortnite was taking over the market. Like, literally everything was making a battle pass, and I'm surprised that we didn't get one in Brawl Stars until 2020. It's just, you know, like, this was to be expected at this point. While Jackie conceptually as a brawler just really just isn't great, gadgets as a whole was such a fun mechanic that this update's like in the top 10 for sure. This update added Maisie, which was cool and all, and it also added Bling, which was also cool and all, but it added Hank, and Hank is the best thing to ever come to this game, hands down. This season probably had the best assortment of skins, releasing true gold and silver skins in this update, but also releasing Brawlerine Rosa, Zombie Bee, and Challenger Colt all in the same update. That's a pretty stacked roster and probably the best skins we've ever got. And they also went and just added Mapmaker casually on top of this. Like, what more could you ask for? This update, whether you like it or not, was kinda just so huge that you have to put it near the top. They added 3 new brawlers, one of them being free, which was a mythic, which was very, like, generous of the game. And whether you like Kit or not, everyone had been asking for him for a long while now. And they added 5v5, which is probably the most requested mode of all time. And Larry and Lori, just as a brawler, was very, like, different for this spawner type brawler, and it was just a very great update all in all. I wouldn't be surprised if this is most people's number 1 update, and honestly I could kind of see why. Surge as a brawler back then was so different, having like actual upgrades for each style, and everything that came in the update, the new environments, the new like changes generally were all really good. Bot drop may have been kind of an awful mode. Bonnie and Janet were both very interesting brawlers, and at the time were very unique, and the theming again was great. Fang's update is probably my favourite theming in the entire game, being inside of a video game. Obviously, being a gamer, that kind of just goes well with me. Fang was a really fun brawler. He may have had his like downfall with hypercharge, but he was fun, and everything they added, including doors before that got ruined by Kit, was also fun. I was so jealous of Clash Royale when they got masteries added to their game, and ever since they did, I was kind of hoping we'd get them in Brawl Stars, and even though they weren't the same and they were very different, I think Brawl Stars did it better, and I'm actually really happy with what we got. Titles are really cool when they get to show how much time we put into a brawler, and it's just something to do with each brawler instead of just getting like rank 30 or rank 25 or whatever your skill cap is. You're a noob if you can't get rank 30. It's elbozo, elbozo, elbozo. So we're down to the final 2, and one of these isn't actually even available on YouTube anymore. It's between the Colette update, the Star Park CCTV leak video with the original lore, and then Belle's update. Belle's update brought Knockout, it brought Belle obviously, it brought quite a lot of changes in that department, and added the Wild West theme, whereas Colette's update added the whole lore drop, and it had the Star Park theme, the gift shop theme, Colette, very unique, different things between the both of them. So now, without further ado, my favourite update in Brawl Stars is Belle's update. Knockout was always a dream mode for me, and I always wanted a 3v3 showdown, and they basically delivered with that perfectly. Obviously, Colette's update is number 2. It's a great one. I loved it, even though Colette's not like my favourite playstyle type brawler, but like, I did really enjoy what they did with her, and the lore drop was absolutely insane. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen from a video game, I'm gonna be honest. That Brawl Talk where I was watching it live, I remember my parents wanted to like vacuum outside, and I was like, shush, I'm watching the Brawl Talk. And then like it starts glitching out, and I'm like telling my parents about what's going on as it's happening, and they're like clueless, because why would they care? It's Brawl Stars. But it was like, it was insane at the time, it was crazy. But yeah, make sure to leave your opinions on what your favourite Brawl Talk is. Is it the 8-bit one, and did I absolutely slander you? I know I slandered Foxtail, but other than that, I'm not sure. So make sure to like the video, subscribe, use code MikaYT in the Squad Business Shop. Goodbye.